Okay, so here's our cables and we'll see if that makes a difference. So that's before. Okay, ready? Well, there it is, guys, the Fiat Barchetta. Welcome back to another video. Looks good, but you never know with these cars, do you? If they're going to have any problems going on underneath the bonnet. So we've got our laptop today. We've got Multi-ECUscan. We've got a set of cables, so we'll connect it up to the ECU and we'll see what we can find and see what sort of information it can tell you about the car. Also got some LED bulbs which we'll put in the dashboard and brighten things up a little bit. So that's it, let's get to the video. Before we get started, just a quick update on the brakes. The car's off to a Bosch service centre next week. I think all that's left really is the ABS module, so there could be air trapped in it or it could be faulty. I just don't know, so hopefully they'll take a look and find out what the problem is. I managed to get hold of a brake testing kit, and as you can see from the little clips there, the back left and the back right are just like night and day. The back left is braking perfectly and there's hardly anything on the back right, so it must be a hydraulic problem somewhere, which I think points back to the ABS unit. That brings us on to today's video, which is a quick look at diagnostic software, Multiecuscan, which is for sort of Fiat, Lancia and a few other Alfa Romeo and a few other makes. The basic version of the program is free. It lets you do sort of quite a lot of things, but if you pay for it, it unlocks the software and takes the time limit off, lets you remove error codes, I think, and a few other things. My main reason for using the program was to diagnose any problems with the ABS ECU, but on the older Barchettas, Multi-ECUscan doesn't work with the sort of ABS ECU that I have, which is I think Bosch 2SI. It only works with the Bosch 5.3. So if anybody knows of any software that will work with the older one, then either email me or leave something in the comments. Anyway, there's still plenty you can do with the software. Let's get it connected and take a look and see what it can do. So the 3-pin cable is for the older Barchettas up to about the year 2000. But if you've got a newer Barchetta, then your OBD2 connector should be probably a bit dark, but it should be underneath the seat there, sort of on the cross member going across. And you can plug in directly there rather than into the individual ECUs. So this is a 97 Mark I, and the connection for the scanner is on this side where the ECU is. On the left side we've got the ECU for the airbag, and the other ECU is in the engine bay, and it's here. So you just unclip it from there, and there's your connector there. So just for ease of access, I'm going to try and take this panel off. There we go. That should make things a bit easier. Now let's see if we can find the connector. Okay, there's no visible signs of any connector anywhere. These go through to the back. Not sure what that is hanging down. There's nothing loose over there on the ECU. So what I'm going to do is take off this cover here, and then we'll see if it's behind the sort of top of the footwell here, and I'll pull that out. So let's take this off next. Let's lift out this panel now. So look, still nothing. Hang on, there we go. Let's try and get the camera in there. There is our connector. That's what we're looking for. We'll hook up our cable to that, read the ECU, and then see what we find. Okay, so here's our cables. That's 2 sets of cables. Because this is an older Barchetta, it won't take the newer OBD socket, so there's a separate cable and adapter that plugs into there, and then this end goes in our newly discovered connector. But also it won't take any power from this connector, which is why there's a separate lead here. So you could connect this to the battery. Obviously you might be a bit sort of stuck for the length of the cable, so you could use maybe a jump lead, connect it to the positive terminal either directly or via another lead, and then you've got power, and then hopefully we'll get some results on the computer. So let's get everything connected and then see how we get on. Looks like this can only go in one way, so that's in. Right, there's no way this other lead's going to reach around to the battery, so I'm going to have to use a jump lead from the battery around and connect it to this. So I've got one end on the battery. I've got the other end connected there. Okay, turn the ignition to this position. It's MAR, so you've got the lights on the dashboard. Okay, we've got the ignition switched on, so I'm going to plug in the USB cable. And what you might want to do first is go into settings and then interfaces and click on scan for interfaces. And then it will have a look, see if it can detect the cable and where it's connected. If you do have problems connecting and getting the cable to work, then go on the Multiecuscan forum website and you should be able to get some help there. Anyway, it's detected our cable there. Okay, so we want to look at the Fiat Barchetta. Guessing probably that one is mine, because mine's a 97. So we'll click on where we want to connect to the engine ECU, so click on connect 3-pin adapter. We've already done that, so yes. Right, there we go, we're connected. So errors, luckily no fault codes. What we can do, we can look at other things to do with the engine. So if I actually turn the ignition on now, we can get live readings on certain things. So on the free version of the software you can select 4 things at a time. So we've only just started, but if I do the engine temperature and the revs, what else could we do? We could look at the battery voltage, and what else could we check? Perhaps the intake air quality. So if I uncheck maybe one of these, I can look at the lambda sensor, the status of the lambda sensor. So that's working, as you can see up there. So there's a few other things we can do if we come over to actuators here. So let's switch the engine off a moment. So let's go to actuators. And what you can do, you can check if the fan's working, the cooling fan. So if I do execute, and then we know the fan's working okay. We don't have any air conditioning, but we can check the fuel pump relay, so we should hear a click if we do that. There we go. So that works. We know it works, but obviously you can use this to test. Obviously there's loads you can do with this, but this just gives you an idea of what's possible. So luckily at the moment there's no errors on my Barchetta, but just to give you an idea, I'll click on simulate here. This is like a bit of a demo mode, and it shows you the kind of thing that you can pick up from the ECUs. So if I go to errors, there's a little example there of the kind of thing that you might find when it scans the ECU and the sensors. And what you can do, you can clear the codes if you fix a problem, or if you think it's just like a temporary glitch, and then run the scan again to see if it comes back, which is pretty good. So hopefully you found that useful. I don't know about you, but what I've always found with the Barchetta is the actual warning lights themselves are okay. It's just the backlit part of the cluster that is a bit dim. So what I'll do, I'm going to leave all the warning ones in as they are. I'm just going to change these, all the ones that backlight the cluster, and we'll see if that makes a difference. So I've got a selection of LEDs here. So I'll take all these backlights out and we'll swap them over for these, and then we'll plug it back in and see how it looks. Alright, that's the last two in, so we'll plug it back in and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so let's do a before and after. So this is before we put the LED bulbs in. I'll try to make it quite dark in here, so and that's it with the lights on. So that's before. Okay, let's try it now with the new LED bulbs in. Put the lights on. Wow, that's definitely up brighter. I'm just going to shut the garage doors so we can see it in the dark. Okay, ready? Wow, that's a big improvement. I'm very impressed with that. Not sure why it's a little bit dark there though, and maybe there. It's not like it's missing a bulb, I just don't think the light is getting through to that part of the dash anyway. But still, that's a lot better. It's not like I'm going to be going 200 kilometers an hour anyway, so nothing to worry about there. But yeah, looks good. Right, I had a little fiddle around with the bulb at the back, and that seems to have made a difference. So if we do it again now, there we go. I think that's pretty much perfect. Job done.